So I'm going to have to make some sort of decorative feature there to a modification, style adjustment, just to try and disguise that connection between the two woods. I'll just create a little groove on the join between the two woods, and then fill that with something in a contrasting colour. And then now we've got a channel in there that I can now fill with something contrasting. I'll go ahead and do that next, I think. And I'm now going to put my granular filler into the cavity and just spread that around. I have a habit of trying to be neat when doing this, but at the end of the day it probably makes little difference because it will end up going everywhere. It's just slightly proud of the cavity, and I'll find that when I apply the glue, which is thin CA, cyanacrylate, I find it does, the filler swells up as well, so it should nicely fill the gap. I'd like to try and knock the excess out of there, but with it being in the bottom of a bowl, I don't see that's possible. So we'll just have to live with that. And now I'll put the CA in and just dribble that around, and this will now go everywhere, but nothing I can do about it. That's it. And we'll leave that now for, I don't know, half an hour, see if it dries off. If it doesn't, I'll give it a spray with Kicker and just get the top to turn away, to turn hard. So we'll leave that now and come back a bit later. I've just come back to have a look, see how the glue's going, the CA glue, and I realised it was pooling on the top of the section I'd filled in, so I'd obviously got too much glue there. So I've just taken some more filler and I've sprinkled it over the top there, and I can see that the CA is soaking that up rapidly. It's going to leave me with a lot more to sand away later, but I should end up with a better coverage. Okay, we're back on the lathe, and everything's had time to dry out in here. I did end up using a little bit of the accelerator for the cyanacrylate, just gave that a spray. There's a few areas that just weren't drying out, but it looks good now. We'll get on and give it a sand. Looking at this, I think I might just go back to the tools and just give this a light scraping over the top. There's just too many divots there in the filler. Now I'm going to go through the grits now, sand fully. I'll do that with the extraction on, so it's a bit noisy, so I'll come back to it when it's sanded down. Okay, I've just finished sanding. I've gone through the sanding grits, and I've put a good coat of sanding sealer on, and now I need to take that off, or take that back. Some people like to use wire wool, others like to use sandpaper. I've started using these mesh pads. I've got 2 or 3 of the different grits, and I'm just going to quickly go through those, starting off with the green, which is the coarsest, then the purple, yellow, then finally I'll move on to the white, and I just cut a little square out of these, and I'm going to apply my wax. And I'll do that using the white mesh. I'll buff that out now. I'm going to apply one more light coat. And on this one I'll now turn the speed up a little bit. Just get a bit of heat flowing. So at 500 revs now, 500 RPM. Just let the heat melt the wax a bit. The friction. And the next job, we'll turn the bowl around, put it in the coal jaws, or the button jaws as some people call them, and we'll turn the bottom off. Okay, I've flipped the bowl around and put it on the jaws, the coal jaws. I'm fortunate enough to have 2 chucks, and that makes this process of swapping between the 2 so much easier. So I haven't got, even though I've just replaced the bottom of this, I don't have as much depth left as I would like. I can feel this is quite thin, or it sounds quite thin here. So I'm going to have to, rather than turning it flush, this will have to become a foot. So I'm just going to turn this to round first of all and see where we stand. Because I'm on the button jaws, I'm keeping the speed down, and we're just at 600 RPM. I daren't do any more than that. I'll just flatten this bottom off. Very light scrape. I've tried to put a very light dishing in the centre there so that it sits. I'm not going to tack it with the sandpaper again now. Keep forgetting about the button jaws here and nearly losing my knuckles. I'm going to sand up through the grits, and I'll be back when we get to do the waxing again. Right, I've sanded through the grits. I've applied sanding sealer. That's dried off now, so I'm just going to use the pads again and just cut this back, and then we'll wax it. See, I just put a little bit of decoration on there. On inspection it wasn't quite as thin as I feared. It's never going to be a pretty foot, isn't this one? But I shall live with it. It's nice to walk away with a completed bowl. Well, there we go. It's taken a year, you could say, to get to this point. It's Just if you remember, this was the bowl that I started a year ago, before I stopped turning for a while, and I'd gone through the bottom of it. So I've come back to it now, a year later. I've put a new mahogany bottom in there, and to celebrate the join between the two pieces, I've put a darker wood inlay in there, a darker inlay to complement the two. The bottom's a little on the ugly side, but needs must, with it being a repair. I could perhaps have gone a bit further and done a little bit more, but after all this time I needed something to walk away with, to have an achievement, to say yes, I've done it, I'm back, I can start turning again, start making new mistakes on new projects. I've learnt a lot. I've learnt a lot about turning on this project, and I've learnt a lot about myself, and it's onwards and it's upwards, as is my saying. I look forward to the next project and I look forward to sharing it with you, and thanks for taking the journey with me. Thanks for watching.